It was live. I was about to retweet it.
Welcome to the Lakers Central Podcast, where I discuss the most famous basketball team on the planet with the biggest, brightest, and up-and-coming voices in sports and culture. Before I get into today's show, make sure you check out the Crossover Media Network. I'm with my man Jay Spence the King, host of the Code of Conduct podcast on Crossover. So follow Crossover at Crossover365 on Instagram and Twitter. What's up, Spence, man? How you feeling?
What's going on with your boss, man? I'm feeling good. I'm excited. You see, I'm in go mode. I got my Lakers mask, so we healthy right now. I got my Bron jersey on. Got AD backing me up, so let's do this.
I'm happy, man. Look, basketball's back, man. It's back. So I mean, how you feeling so far today about it?
Man, good. I'm actually. So I was watching the game that's on now, and I tell you what. The first thing that jumped off the screen to me from like the very first play, Zion is a beast. He's a man. You know what I mean? And it's going to be exciting to watch the old Laker, the young Laker guys kind of form around him as a star and see what they do. They look really good. Brandon Ingram, man, I tell you how it would have been so lovely to have him, but I get how it happened. I'm happy with AD. I'm happy it happened, but he's looking good.
Yeah, man. I got the game up on my screen right here in my office, and Ingram looks good. I mean, look, let me just say this, man. Lakers fans knew Brandon Ingram could play. Like, Lakers fans knew. It's the rest of the world that laughed at us and said he couldn't play. And now that he's a Pelican, everybody's taking notice of how good this guy is. But that dude can play. In terms of tonight, Lakers and Clippers, we finally get to see them play. The last time we saw them play, Lakers won. Lakers looked really good against them. And then the league shut down for about 4 months. And so coming into tonight's game, Lakers roster will look a bit different. As you know, no Avery Bradley, no Rondo. Bradley decided to sit out of the NBA bubble. Rondo is hurt. He's going to be out for some 4 to 6 weeks, depending on whatever estimate you hear. But AD, he's here. LeBron is here. AD did get poked in the eye a couple scrimmages ago. So I think he's gonna throw on Kareem's old goggles tonight.
Yeah.
Come out skyhook style.
Yeah, I saw a couple memes too where, had the JR squinting meme, and it's like, hey, Brown, we got Kareem too. But I'm excited for just to see the boys back. Like you said, they did look good the last time we got to see them in a meaningful basketball game. Coming off wins versus Milwaukee and the Clippers. Yep. So they definitely looked good. Hopefully we can kind of pick that magic right back up, and we'll see with the additions. Like I admitted to you, like I said, when I'm wrong, and I say it publicly. Dion Waiters, he's the player that I kind of was hoping that we would pick up. So when I was saying, no, we need Jamal Crawford, Dion Waiters is proving to me already that he's the guy that can handle that load. And then J.R. Smith, he's one of those guys, man. He could just get hot whenever. And, if he's coming in off the bench, they're scoring now between Waiters and J.R. Smith. And then, just the obvious stuff that he has that chemistry with LeBron. And I just love it, man. I'm happy right now. I think that I think we're going to see some real ball tonight. Like I think LeBron's going to come out ready to attack.
I think so. I mean, we're not going to take too much from this game. If the Lakers win, we know as people that cover the Lakers, look, a win is a win, but we're not going to act like that's the championship. Now, we might poke fun at Clippers fans if we win, but we know you don't take too much from the game. And if we lose, we know not to take too much away from that loss. But I do think the Lakers want to come out strong. They want to win. You see these scrimmages, and you and I, we talked a few months ago. I think it was a few months ago when the Lakers had picked up waiters, and we talked about you wanted Jamal Crawford,
right?
And look, all I wanted them to do was get a guy that could score, because that was one thing the Lakers needed, was a guy that could come off the bench and get his own shot. And you look in these scrimmages, Dion's been fantastic. I mean, he has been amazing, right? I mean, so before we get to JR for a second, don't you think that Rondo getting hurt actually helped the Lakers?
Yeah.
Because Dion's had the ball in his hand a lot in these scrimmages.
A whole lot. It's been a blessing in disguise. And the reason why I wanted to publicly say, no, Alex, you're right, because on top of the fact that, like I said, he can score and the ball is in his hands more and it's helping us with Rondo being out, it's also when you look at the age factor. So the Lakers gave Dion a chance when no other team would at the time. So next season, who's to say he won't sign, an extension and want to stay with LA? And now we just have explosive players, young players coming off the bench. We got pieces that we can build around. Dion and AD in the future, that could be scary for teams. We start developing other players too. Who's to say that, Kuzma really, he looks good right now, but he's looked good before. But my hope is that, hey, if Kuzma can do this consistently, what he did the other day, hey man, that's a core you can build around for even after LeBron's tenure in LA.
Look, I like Dion. I'm on record with that. Dion is only 28 years old. Now, we have to see him get through this bubble postseason and all that and see how things play out. But it's not like he's 35 or 36. Like JR is a bit older, but Dion's young enough where if things break right, maybe he does stay with the Lakers a couple years, right? I mean, I'm not looking for him to average 20, but what we did see in this in these scrimmages is he can get hot. He can create his own shot. He can create for others. He can give you 15, 16 points in a night when you really could use that. And now you look at JR. Yeah. JR got hot the other night with it 6 3-pointers.
Man.
Dude hadn't played in like 2 years.
He was just itching for it. He couldn't wait to get back, and you can see it. And that excitement, the first scrimmage, you could see a couple of the jitters in there for both those guys. I would honestly say everybody, not just those guys, but everybody, you could tell it was just like the nerves of getting back on the court. And but yeah, when they get hot, man, JR and Dion together, I'm telling you, it's going to be so much fun as a Lakers fan to watch the bench now, as opposed to how we watched them, prior to the shutdown.
Yeah, I agree. And when you look at them matching up the Clippers tonight, no Lou Will, no Trez. Lou Will and Trez are huge at what with what the Clippers do. So everything is going to be on Kawhi and Paul George. I suspect both of them are completely healthy right now. Well, what do you think they look like tonight?
Well, what we've seen so far from Paul George is what I saw when I lived in Indiana for those years. I saw a superstar. But here's the thing, and this is not any hate towards Paul George. I actually love Paul George. He's like my third favorite player in the league. I just kind of stopped saying it once he joined the Clippers. But listen, the guy. The problem with Paul George is that he just doesn't show up when the games actually matter. Right. Now he's not playing big anymore. So now tonight, who's to say he might have a big game, but that's because the Lakers have a lead, and we know, like you said earlier, we know if we win, we'll poke fun. But tonight is not the game where we'll say, okay, the winner of this game is clearly winning the champion. That's not what we're looking at here. So, I hope he has a good game for entertainment purposes, but I don't put my money on Paul George anymore in big games.
Yeah, I mean, he's struggled in the postseason in recent years. He's a heck of a talent. Like, I mean, he is a superstar. I mean, he's a superstar. I think he's a legit top 10 player.
Yep.
We're gonna poke fun because he's a Clipper and all that, and he shunned the Lakers a handful of years ago when he chose OKC over coming to LA. But he can play. Kawhi obviously is probably a top 3 guy easily. But I think they're gonna come out.
That's debatable.
Where do you got him at?
I got 5, top 5. Top 3 is debatable for me.
So give me your top 5.
Obviously Bron.
Yep.
If we're not talking injuries and everything, so that's where I'm
Mhm.
at when I'm saying this.
Yep.
Obviously Bron. Then I'm going KD. After KD, then I'm going Giannis.
Yep.
And then after Giannis, if we're talking just skill wise, I'm not talking about wins and losses.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going Russell Westbrook. I just think the guy is incredible.
Yeah, I think Russ doesn't get enough credit. You know, he's made triple doubles look easy, and I don't think people realize how hard they are. But shout out to Russ. You know, I've always respected Russ. But I think the Clippers are going to want to come out strong. I know they're going to try a couple different things they've been working on in scrimmages, but they're not at full strength. So look, if we beat them, Clippers fans are going to say Lou and Trez wasn't there.
Yep.
But Lou isn't there because he decided to go to the strip club to Magic City and get some wings. I mean, so there's that. And Trez, I don't know why Trez isn't there. I think he just got to the bubble late, or is he in the bubble yet?
He's in the bubble. I believe it was another one of the situations where they said it was like a family situation.
Yeah,
and he joined late. But yeah, you're right. Those are two big guys being out tonight. Lou by himself. He's the energy off the bench for them. He completely keeps that team going when Paul George and Kawhi are on the bench. So that's going to be huge for him. But again, the Clippers are one of the deepest teams in the league, though. So I know we talk a lot of stuff, going back and forth between the faces, but honestly, they're a deep team. So I can't say I feel bad for them. I know having Lou Will out. I mean, they still have guys who could probably start on other rosters.
Mm-hmm. I mean, look, we're going to see the Morris twins go up against each other, right?
That's going to be fun.
Yeah, a lot of Lakers fans wanted Marcus, right? But the Knicks wanted Kuzma. They wanted draft picks. We would have had to give up Danny Green for salaries to match. But we got Markieff, who I think actually fits what we do better than Marcus. And we didn't have to give up anything to get him. Well, I mean, what are you expecting out of Markieff in this first regular season matchup?
I'm expecting some good, solid defense, kind of what we saw in that last game that we saw him against the Clippers. He just had good, solid defense. I'm hoping that his shot will start to fall because he had a rough outing that night. But I know when he can shoot. He just had an off night. So just hope his normal offense is there. But that defense, I'm just hoping that we have somebody that we can put next to AD, or even when AD does go out the game, who's just that defensive presence. And he's, I like him because he's that dog that LeBron kind of needs. Like when people foul LeBron too hard, he's that dude that'll get up in the face. Like he's not the same player as Ron Artest, but he gives me that energy. Like, no, you're not about to do anything to my star. So I like it.
That's the thing about both Morris twins. They're tough guys, but like Ron Artest was like a real tough guy on the court, right?
It's different.
Right. But the Morris twins, you're not going to bully either one of them. And I like Markieff's approach, right? So one of the things that I think he brings to the Lakers is, one, Kuzma is undersized at the 4. I don't think he does great matching up against power forwards, but Markieff on the floor, he pushes Kuzma to the 3. And you can't bully Markieff around.
No.
He's a strong guy. I think he's 6'10", 240. He can stretch the floor. He plays solid defense.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a tough guy, man. And he lets the Lakers play in a couple different ways. I mean, one, when Vogel wants to put AD at the 5, you can put AD at the 5, Markieff at the 4. You can run Kuzma at the 3. LeBron obviously can play any position that he wants. And then you could have KCP, Danny Green. You could have a Caruso, JR, Dion. You could put anyone at the off guard at that point. Yeah. And
I'll tell you what, to your point, when Kuzma can play the 3 instead of playing that 4, it's scary, man. You can't. It's not so easy to guard him at that 3 position. And I know a lot of fans don't quite understand the difference in positions. Like, well, he's on the floor. Why is it different?
Right.
Listen, it's different when you're playing 4 and when you're playing 3. When he's in that 3 position, it's lights out when he's hot.
He's better at the 3, and he got hot. Was it the 3rd preseason game he got hot, or the 2nd one? Yeah, he got hot. One. I mean, outside of LeBron and Anthony Davis, the Lakers now have 3 guys that can get microwave hot, maybe even 4. Danny Green can get hot from distance. JR can get hot from distance. Dion can get hot from anywhere on the floor, and Kuzma can get hot. I mean, that's scary, man.
It is. I'm excited, man. I really think that this is going to be championship 17 and LeBron's 17th year. I just think it all lines up like it's perfect. I do.
So let me ask you this, man. Like you're a big NFL fan. You follow Buffalo,
Hmm.
and I've never asked this, but are you a big Major League Baseball fan as well?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: why is it that the NFL, Major League Baseball, can't get their sports up and running the same way Adam Silver's gotten NBA up?
Man, I actually I did an interview earlier today and I mentioned this. It's one of those things where um, it's almost embarrassing when you look at these commissioners and you look at how Adam Silver is doing such a phenomenal job on every single level. Like it doesn't matter what you're talking about, whether it's the social issues, whether it's the protection and health of the
Mm-hmm.
players and the staffs of the teams, whether it's taking a positive stand in the media, whatever it is, he's just like he's knocking it out the park. He's batting 1,000 every single time. And you go to the NFL and Roger Goodell, no disrespect to him, but he's just not there.
No.
I just don't get it. Like today, you mentioned I follow Buffalo. Obviously, Buffalo versus everybody
Mm-hmm.
behind me. But the Buffalo Bills sent 5 players home today, and they shut down operations because 5 rookies tested positive for the virus. And the thing is,
Jeez.
these guidelines that are being set up in the NFL, they're just not as, they're not. I don't know if it's that they're not trying or if that they just don't care and they think that it's a fluke because the owners of the NFL, the narrative out of the NFL was completely different from day one.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in the NFL, the ownership, we're still having it. We're having a season. This isn't. The
Right.
NFL took it. The NBA took it seriously. Like, hey, this is a health concern. So I just think that the importance for each league, like the things that are important for each league, is just completely different.
No, you're right. And I mean, look, the NFL is and was in its off season when COVID broke out. Like they had all off season to figure out a plan. The NBA, right? The NBA literally had to shut down before a game started, and then had to figure out, is it possible to restart the season? And here we are, first night of this whole bubble thing.
Yep.
And they're putting on a phenomenal product. Like people were concerned, no fans in the stands. How is this going to work?
Don't
And
even matter.
I'm looking at it. It looks fine.
Yeah.
It looks fine.
And to be honest, I actually like this a little bit more because you can hear the communication. You can
Yep.
hear like all of that stuff, like people like you and I who are like real, like
Yep.
we break stuff down. We get to hear all of that stuff that you really don't get to see or listen to unless you're watching summer league games and stuff. So for me, I'm actually like, Adam Silver, hey dude, get what, I don't even know what his contract is right now. Sign an extension. Like I don't care. You could have 8 years left. Sign another 10 years on that deal, man. Like he's the dude. He's awesome.
The funny thing is, I believe Roger Goodell makes 30 or 40 million more than Adam Silver per year,
Mhm.
which is, I mean, NFL makes more money than NBA does per year. But when you consider NFL, I don't know if the NFL actually plays this season. I know people think they will, but
Mhm.
just like you mentioned, I think you mentioned what the Bills had to send home 5 players. Is that what you said?
Today. Yep.
And I know in Major League Baseball, the Marlins had 14 players test positive.
Mm-hmm.
NBA isn't having that problem. So far, no one's tested positive in the bubble.
No positive tests. Yep.
I mean, so the NBA has the same billionaire owners, the same 30 billionaire owners that these other sports do. Yet they were able to work out a plan to get this together. And they're putting on a phenomenal product. My wife asked me the other day, is it weird watching it without fans? And I'm like, I didn't even notice. Like, this is beautiful.
Because you pay attention to the game,
Yeah.
So it's like when you're watching on TV, no, we're not gonna. I don't care, Now, of course, as a fan, what I love come September to fly back to Buffalo so I can go to a game. But I just don't think that this is the year for it. Like, look, let's just take it for what it is. Let's be happy that Adam Silver knew what he was doing. I know we were upset back in March. What was it, March 13th or March 12th?
Mm-hmm.
We were upset when that happened, but fast forward now, it's the end of July, and now we have the rest of the season and the playoffs to look forward to. Whereas other leagues now are in jeopardy of not even having a complete season. You look at the Major League Baseball season; they already condensed it to 60 games. But now, when you look at teams like the Marlins having 14 players contract virus and they have to cancel a game, if it continues to spread, they're probably just going to shut down. Like it's not. So again, now the NFL, the Bills sent players home today. You had actually, before I jumped on here, I was checking it out. There's some other big name players who had contracted the virus as well. So
Mhm.
you get the wrong big name player, or I should say the right big name player to catch it,
Right.
everything is shut down. If Pat Mahomes even smells somebody with COVID-19, the league is shut down. So what I'm saying is, you're right. Like, I just I feel like there needs to be like a group chat between commissioners or something. Like
I'm wondering, like,
Adam Silver needs to tell them, like, look, are y'all really not doing this?
yeah, like what I was thinking, like, so Dell can't just text Silver and say, like, so how did you guys do this? Like,
Yeah,
what's the problem?
I don't know, man, because I'm telling you, we're in serious danger of only having basketball this year, because everything else is in danger every day that goes by, and the more people that contract virus and the more scares that we have, every single league outside of the NBA is in danger of shutting down for the rest of the year.
Well, look, I'm glad that the NBA, Adam Silver, the players, Michelle Roberts, and then all the staff and everybody else that has to come together to make this thing work. They've taken it seriously, and
Hmm.
they put together a phenomenal product so far, and
Absolutely.
it's amazing. And so we're getting ready to see a Lakers Clippers matchup tonight. I'm going to imagine that the ratings for that game is going to be off the hook.
Through the
Everybody,
roof, man.
even
Yeah.
probably non-Lakers fans. I mean, people are starving for sport, so everybody's probably going to
Yep.
be watching tonight. You ready for it, man?
Dude, I'm ready. I don't. I hope my wife is ready. That's who I hope is ready. I'm ready. Like I said, I'm excited. I do think that this year, it's the fan in me, but it's also just like the eye test. I do
Yeah.
think that this is the year that the Lakers take it. I know that there's all these reports out there that so and so might upset the Lakers and this, that, and the
Mm-hmm.
third. But honestly, I don't see anybody who's MVP other than LeBron. I know some people
Yeah.
say it's really close. To me, when I think about most valuable player, when LeBron goes off the floor prior to the shutdown, like we had this discussion before,
Sure.
it's all his value. Like the
Mm-hmm.
team was not the same when LeBron came off the floor. Giannis, I just don't see the same type of, like with Giannis, when Giannis isn't on the floor, you don't have those same struggles. You don't have those same worries. The offense seems to flow. The defense is still, pretty good. I'm not saying, I get it.
Yeah.
He's the guy there, but
Yeah.
the defense is still pretty good. When LeBron goes off the floor, man, it's completely different. And then when you look at the pieces around him, man, it's just everything is just falling in place. And we're getting these guys for free now for the second part. Like you said, we didn't have to give up Kuzma to bring in Morris. We didn't have to
Right.
give up Danny Green or anybody. So now we're getting guys that's adding value in places that we have weaknesses. It's man. Honestly, I haven't been this excited for Lakers ball since Kobe, Lamar Odom, and you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean. Like that. This is
Yeah.
that feeling again. So I'm with it. I'm with it.
No, this is going to be an amazing run, man. I mean, the Lakers, they've got a 5-game lead on the Clippers. They really don't have to do a whole lot to keep that lead going into the
Mm-hmm.
postseason anyway. So I suspect they're going to have the 1 seed in the West.
Yep.
LeBron has done everything that he needed to do this season. I think Frank Vogel is coach of the year. I think Rob Pelinka is executive of the year. Everything that he's done. This is a good Lakers team, man. So to your point, this is one of the most exciting Lakers teams we've seen since probably 2010, the last time the Lakers won a championship.
Yeah.
And this is a unique year with the pandemic, but also with the loss of Kobe. This is the craziest year we've ever seen. So
Mm-hmm.
I think we're in for something special. And I hope Lakers fans sit back and appreciate this ride.
Yeah. Enjoy it. Take it, like really take the time to appreciate what I know it's weird because of COVID and everything is going on, but Lakers fans, this is the year that you really want to remember. Like take advantage of the fact that you're watching this lifetime, because this is going to be one of those things that we look back on 20 years from now and be like, man, it's one of those years. It's kind of like, you can imagine this as like the last dance for Jordan. Like, that document, you're going to have tons of series come out about this year. And the fact that the Lakers have this roster and we have this shot to win championship number 17 with the gray beard LeBron, I'm telling you, remember this and take advantage of it as a fan.
Man, I couldn't have said it better. So we're going to end on that. Spence, man, tell them where they can find you, and tell them when that code of conduct on crossover is coming, man.
Code of Conduct next Tuesday. The first episode is dropping. I'm amped. I got my new mic. I don't know if y'all see how pretty this thing is, but I got my mic. I got my computer. I got everything ready. So we're dropping next Tuesday. I have a good interview lined up for you guys. Also, I have another show. I'll just tell you where to find me on Twitter, Instagram. Jay Spence the King is on both, and you'll see everything that I'm into, man. Again, thank you, Alex, for having me. I'm amped.
Guys, y'all know who I am. I'm Alex. Follow me on Twitter at Laker Central CEO. Follow the Laker Central podcast at Laker Central 365, and follow Crossover at Crossover 365. And you've been listening to Laker Central.